Why is it that children we love and raise with devotion often seem to forget about their parents over time? Tibetan wisdom teaches that attachment and expectations are the root of suffering. But how can one let go of expectations while preserving connections with loved ones? Today, through the story of Hope Wilson, we will explore how mindfulness and inner balance, rooted in Eastern teachings, help endure hardships while maintaining peace of mind and harmony in relationships with loved ones. Hope Wilson sat in her empty room, listening to the ticking of an antique clock. In the silence, she often remembered how this apartment used to be filled with laughter, conversations, and the smell of freshly baked goods. Her son, Alex, was always her life's meaning. He was only 3 years old when his father tragically died in an accident. Hope vowed to do everything to ensure Alex would never need anything. Years passed. Hope worked tirelessly, took night shifts, and denied herself almost everything. She helped Alex get into a prestigious university and supported him through all his struggles. She believed that in her old age, Alex would be there for her, just as she had been there for him all his life. But something went wrong. Alex rarely called, and his visits became brief and formal. One day, when she could no longer hold back, she called him herself, only to hear a cold voice on the other end. "Mom, I'm in a meeting right now. Let's talk later." She waited for later for a whole month. Then he finally came, but instead of the warm conversation she longed for, he brought an unexpected gift, a bright brochure with the title Retirement Home, Comfort and Care. Alex began explaining that it would be better for her there, that he and his wife were busy with work and kids, and that professionals at the home could take better care of her. Hope couldn't believe her ears. She looked at her son, trying to understand if he was serious. But his words were too confident to be a joke. "You want to send me to a nursing home?" Her voice trembled as she tried to stay calm. Alex avoided her gaze. "Mom, I just want what's best for you. You understand, don't you? Things are tough for us right now. Work, the kids, they need attention." His words hit her like a blow. She had lived her whole life for him, given him everything she could, and now she had become a burden. Or was it something she had done wrong? A few days later, Hope found a letter in her mailbox. Inside was a photograph, and on the back a short note. "Mom, forgive me." This letter turned her world upside down. Colleagues said Alex had taken a leave of absence and gone abroad with his family. Hope was left alone, confused, and full of questions. Why had he sent that letter? And what should she do now? She wandered around her apartment, looking at the photograph Alex had sent. It was their old home, the one where she had raised him and which he had long ago sold to buy his city apartment. Why had he suddenly remembered it? What did this short, almost empty letter mean? Unable to sit and wait any longer, Hope called a family friend, Peter Carter, who had been like a relative to them for many years. "Hello, Peter," her voice trembled. "Have you heard where Alex might be? He sent me a strange letter, and now he's not answering." There was a pause on the other end, followed by a sigh. "Hope, you'd better come over. We need to talk." Her heart sank with the premonition of something bad. An hour later, she was at Peter's door. Normally cheerful and smiling, Peter looked unusually serious. "Hope, sit down. I'll be direct. Alex is in trouble. His business collapsed. Debts, banks, creditors. He tried to hide it, but he couldn't manage. It seems he left to buy some time." Hope couldn't believe it. Her successful son, always so confident. Was this really possible? "He asked not to bother him, especially you," Peter continued. "He said he didn't want you to worry, but it seems he couldn't handle it, so he sent you that letter." Everything became clearer. The letter was a plea for forgiveness. Hope thought about what to do. She understood that she couldn't rely on his family for help. She was alone with this grief, but giving up wasn't in her nature. The next day, she put on her best dress, gathered the necessary documents, and went to the bank. Hope knew she had some small savings set aside for a rainy day. That day had come. She had to try to help. At the bank, Hope sat waiting for her turn. Around her, strangers' lives unfolded. Some discussed mortgages, others received advice about investments. None of them could guess the heavy burden carried by this elderly woman, clutching a worn leather wallet. When she was called to the counter, she timidly approached and explained her situation. The bank clerk, a young woman in glasses, listened attentively but calmly. "So, you want to withdraw all your money?" the clerk asked, looking at the screen. "Yes," Hope nodded. "I urgently need to help my son." The woman nodded and began processing the documents, but then stopped. "You also have another account," she said, surprised. "It's closed, but it can be accessed." Hope frowned. She was certain she had no other accounts. "Are you sure?" she asked hesitantly. "Yes," the clerk replied. "It was opened about 5 years ago in your name, but the money came from another source." 5 years ago? Hope's mind raced. At that time, Alex was thriving in his business. He often talked about wanting his mother to live without worries. "Can you check who deposited the money?" Hope's voice trembled. The clerk nodded and searched the system. "The money was deposited by your son, Alex Wilson," she finally said. "He specifically noted that the funds were for you, for unforeseen circumstances." Her son, despite all his struggles, had thought of her future. He had cared for her even when everything was going well.